Welcome back, everybody, to DRL TV. My name is Ryan Branch, alongside Martin Wenzel for the Paperclip 250 at Martinsville Speedway, just south of Martinsville, Virginia, and Ridgeway, Virginia. We have a half-mile track, 250 laps around this beast tonight. Martin, you ready for this?
Yeah, it's going to be fun, and it's already fun right now seeing guys trying to qualify in an open qualifying session today.
Yeah, it's a little bit crazy. I mean, the race, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. These guys are still trying to get used to this new package that NASCAR's given us. Definitely these shorter tracks is different racing. League implemented an incident limit. So I think these guys only have 17 incident points that they're allowed to get. So it's going to make things very, very interesting. We have the possibility of disqualifications. Guys need to stay out of each other. But from what I'm seeing in practice and from what I've seen so far during this qualifying session is, I don't know. It's not going to be easy on the guys. That's for sure. People have been getting into the back of each other. I've seen drivers that race around each other very, very often getting into one another. So
I don't like John Theodore just pulling over there on the track during this qualifying session, though, and getting towed every time because guys are going to run into each other doing that. But yeah, you're seeing... So I guess with the open qualifying, they get 5 minutes and just whenever they put down their fastest time, yeah?
Yeah, that's basically how it works. Gives them, some guys it'll give them more of an opportunity, right? Because the laps are so short here. You're talking 18-second laps. So with how short the laps are, it lets most of the guys turn more laps than they would get a chance to in qualifying. But if you're that guy that just happens to get screwed, every time you come out of the pits, there's somebody out there and you don't get to turn that optimal lap, you could kind of get hurt by it a little bit. But I kind of feel like, everybody definitely, if they were thinking, right, they would have jumped immediately into the qualifying session and they would have started running their laps as soon as possible to hopefully have a clean track in front of them to get those laps in. So
yeah, this wasn't a planned thing. It was just set up a little bit... an oversight, missed the setting. But I wonder if this might be just a way that you ensure that everyone has to put down a qualifying lap. I mean, granted, guy can still sit in the pits and not do anything, but right now, or with the single car, you get 2 laps, and if you hit the wall twice, you can't set a time. Whereas here, you can hit the wall
many times as you want.
Yeah, Martinsville, you can probably put down at least 5 laps in 5 minutes.
Wade Hustad, our pole sitter right now, has 8 laps under his belt. So
yeah. So if you hit the wall, you go back in the pits, or you tow, you get a new car, freshen up your car. I mean, there's no limit on that. And you come back out and you try to set a time. And
Spencer Tart was on the pole for a little while. Tonight we have the return of Anthony Burrows in that 62 car. After winning 2 races in a row, he did miss Auto Club last week. So Burrows, I think, pull up the point standings. Yeah, he moves himself back into 6th after how well he was doing with those 2 back-to-back wins. Wade Hustad sits 1st in the point standings right now. Then Joseph Helton, that 02 car, and Thomas Harmon in the 68. So 2 of the top. Actually, that's all 3 of the top guys. Those are all members of the S2R Racing. So you got Jim Westerfield in that 4 car sits 4th, and Chris James in 5th.
Now, I'm surprised how well this open qualifying went at Martinsville. I don't think it's going to be something they're going to do going forward. I know James, the owner, does not... he was not thrilled with the real-life NASCAR open qualifying at Auto Club last week, where none of the cars made it back to the line because no one wanted to go out and be the first car because you're at a disadvantage. It's competition, and NASCAR doesn't seem to realize that no one's going to give up that... put themselves at a disadvantage by going out first, and so everyone's just going to sit there and wait until one guy goes. And
is that what happened at the NASCAR race?
Yeah, the third session, which I think is the top 12 for the top 12 positions, I guess.
So nobody posted a time?
No one posted a time, so it just reverted to whoever had the top second time, and I think the top second time was who's the 3? Forget his name, but he had the top time, and that guy knew, hey, I don't need to go because at worst, if it reverts, I'll have the top time. So he's sitting out there not go. Austin Dillon, he didn't go, and everyone else you just had a pile of cars sitting at the end of pit road, and none of them could go. Even if you wanted to go and you were stuck at the back, you couldn't go because you were blocked. So it was kind of just a stupid situation.
Wow. Yeah, not something anyone themselves in a situation like that, but camera angles are going to be kind of funky tonight, guys. I have a custom package on. Martinsville is a very tiny, skinny track, so it's difficult to get good camera angles here. Hopefully the race looks good for all out there. Thank you to everybody for tuning in, rooting on your favorite driver. We do have, if I can find him, Wade Hustad is on the pole. Up there in that beautiful number 32 car. He's got, does he have a win under his belt already this season? Hustad has not won a cup race yet. I believe he's come very close to winning both B and truck races, but he has not won a cup race yet. I don't know if he's won a race at all in the DRL yet this season. I'm going to try to grab him real quick and go wish him best of luck. Let's see, Wade Hustad. Mr. Hustad, you got a copy, sir? He was Michaelis last week. He may be Michaelis again this week. Mr. Hustad, are you here? Well, even if you can't hear us, Wade, best of luck out there. Congrats on the pole position, man. Go out there and get him.
Yeah, Wade Hustad, Spencer Tart on the front row.
He's probably Michaelis again for the second week in a row. I'm going to try to run through this starting grid real quick if we can. We've got oh, come on. Yeah, Wade Hustad in first. Spencer Tart sits second. Logan McAnally sits in the third spot. Anthony Burrows in fourth. Seth Noel fifth. Hunter Johnson in the sixth position in that 48 car. Eli Hinton sits seventh. Chad Presnall eighth. Got Chris Lucky in the ninth spot. Thomas Harmon in that 68 sits 10th. Pace car is off. These guys will be able to take the green flag any second. We're going to drop the grid for now just so we can watch this thing go green. Wade Hustad can go anytime now, and he's off. So I think we're going to have to, these guys are going to have to exercise a lot of patience tonight. That 88 of Logan McAnally, last week's winner in dominant fashion, having to check up hard for the 28 of Spencer Tart entering turn 1.
Ooh, a few guys getting into that wall coming out of turn 4. About the 68 and the 78, both of them getting some sparks. I think Chris Lucky, Chris Lucky, who you had starting 9th,
he's having some
wasn't
computer
actually in the
issues
car.
Right now.
Yeah, he was having some connection issues. So he's going to have kind of a long way to battle back. You go down really quickly here. You can even pit. Even pitting.
You lose, what, 3 laps?
Caution. Yeah, on a caution, you know, not to mention a green flag, but, you know, on a caution, if you're in the back of the field and you pit,
it's possible to lose
you're going down a lap.
Yep.
It's for sure. I mean, well, we only got 22 guys, so you might be able to get out in time.
Well, now you see Chris Lucky taking his pit stop, quote unquote. That's just him loading back into the session. So 3.6 seconds before he's able to hit the gas and get out on the track. So Chris Lucky going to have some fighting back to do. Already 5 laps down. Caden Honeycutt in the 37 car looks like he's not even going to start the race here tonight. So that's going to hurt Honeycutt's chances moving forward. Because you got to get those points as you can get them. Every chance you get.
I know Eric Wolf said that he was going to, he was going to qualify into the back of the field and he was going to pull off early. Again, not sure what the reasoning for that is, but he's still on the track. And he might be pulling off now. So he's put in 6 laps and pulling off. So I'm not sure what the reasoning for that is. I don't know if it's, again, to get that participation credit.
Yeah, Eric Wolf there in that number 24 car. Electing to come down pit road. Good looking car he's got. The K&N scheme. I love the colors of it. Good Jim Westerfield there in the number 4 car. He sits 17th right now. Everybody exercising patience at the moment. Joseph Felton, the 02. I know he was very fast during practice. Maybe didn't set the qualifying lap that he had hoped to in that open qualifying session. Almost an accident right in front of him as the 44 of Alexander Russell almost collides in the rear of, who was that? Eric Hutton in the 78 car, that Chick-fil-A.
Well, there goes Thomas Harmon into the wall in front of them as we speak. That looks like Thomas Harmon. Yeah, Thomas Harmon and Hunter Johnson were around it. Well, yeah, it's just Harmon getting loose. He didn't even get hit at all. Hunter Johnson didn't even bump him, even when he was sideways. That was all Harmon. Just sliding into that turn, losing it. Just as Hunter Johnson is about to hit him, snaps right up into the wall. So that's our first caution of the night. Yeah, but right before that, Mike Springer, Eli Hinton, a bunch of those guys got kind of stacked up going into the turn. As it looks like.
Trying to get the 68 here if I can capture that. I'm trying to catch it on replay for you guys.
Looks like a lot of people coming down pit road. I think everyone on the lead lap. Logan McAnally missed his pit box, so he had to back out and get back in. And first out is Seth Noel.
I'm having issues getting it to play what I want it to play here. Go back up to John Theodore. Wow. Got John Theodore out there. 12 lap old tires. See, these guys are still racing on this. I don't understand. I tried to get Harmon and catch the replay of exactly what had happened to him, but obviously he hits the wall. No effect of anybody else, you said, Martin?
Yeah, everyone else was able to stay out of him. He was just kind of sliding through turn 2 there, and as like Hunter Johnson was just about to hit him, his car was sideways. Hunter Johnson almost hit him, but then he snaps to the right up into the wall, and Johnson's able to get by with no contact. So first out of the pits was Seth Noel. He's going to restart in third because John Theodore and Taylor Butcher Benjamin stayed out. And then Wade Hustad and Spencer Tart and Anthony Burrows came out behind Seth Noel. So Noel, I'm wondering if he took 2 tires or if he just had a really good stop.
Could have had to have an absolute stop to get single file up for like the top, I don't know, 6 drivers. He had to have owned tires. Either way, that 27 of John Theodore, I know he puts in the time every week. Does get practice. Hopefully he's got something up his sleeve here. We've seen it all year. We saw it last year. We saw it during the Winter Series. Typically 10 plus laps on the tires, you decide to stay out. I know it's Martinsville and it's not wearing the tires out completely because they're kind of designed for this, you know what I mean? The car setup has it.
He's gonna be slow. Yeah, he's not gonna be as fast as those guys on the fresh tires, but it's not gonna be
it's not gonna be getting ran over. Right.
Yeah, he's still pretty good. I mean, you could probably go 75 laps and be just fine here, but it all depends on what other guys do around you.
Looks like he slows up a little bit. Yeah, John Theodore letting off of the gas and slowing below what pace speed was there for a second.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at that again. I want to
stacks the field up a little. Yeah, if you can see what his speed was there right before he hits the gas.
Yeah, what? That was weird. Well,
checked up that entire inside line.
What is the pace speed? Pace speed is
35.
Where am I here? Pace speed is 45. So he's going 45 through the turn. 45, 44, 43, 40, and then he goes. Yeah, so he slowed
up a little bit, but the 9 of Seth Noel was also anticipating the restart, so he could have been speeding up, even though John Theodore wasn't taking off yet.
Well, you can see Theodore has already dropped behind the 9 and the 28.
Yeah, Spencer Tart
32.
Spencer Tart was very good in our Pro Series this winter. These short tracks, he's very, very comfortable on these tracks. As I say that, he rubs the wall. Maybe a little broadcaster curse put on the 28 there, but Tart is... Oh, and again, he gets loose. I'm going to stop talking about Spencer Tart for a minute.
Whoa, and now... It's just getting wild out there. Now you got Logan McAnally and John Theodore getting into each other, sliding through the turn 4. Anthony Burrows works his way through that. So it's getting
Burrows able to grab a few positions.
A little wild
27 of Theodore, all the way back to 10th now. Up towards the front, Seth Noel.
He got hit by the 55, Jeff Fresno.
Seth Noel in the 9 kind of running away with it right now. 10 laps on his tires. Taylor Butcher Benjamin, the other guy that we said stayed out earlier, he's all the way back to 18th at this time. So clearly those tires hurting them a lot more than them or we even thought that they would. Seth Noel putting a decent gap on Wade Hustad. So Seth Noel, a guy to look out for the rest of this evening. Racing that 9 car very, very well right now. Hustad sits in second in the 32. Spencer Tart, who I was talking about a couple minutes ago, comfortable on these short tracks. He's doing very well in the 3rd spot in the 28. And Hunter Johnson, thought might have caused the accident with Thomas Harmon earlier, runs clean in 4th. Got Chad Presnell in the 55 sitting in the 5th spot. Anthony Burrows sits 6th. Logan McAnally sits in the 7th position. Eric Hutton sits 8th. John Theodore gets around Joseph Helt back up in 9th. And of course Helt sits in 10th. Got Josh Patterson, Chris James in the 82, Eli Hinton, 23 car. Mike Springer in the 12 machine. Tim Westerfield in the 4 sits back in 15th. There's kind of a gap. I mean, everybody else beyond that is multiple seconds off of the leader. We already have the leaders about 5 seconds back of Alexander Russell in the 44. So a very short track. These leaders are going to be able to catch the rear of the field quite quickly.
Presnell sliding through turn out of turn 2. He gets right again and loses about 3 or 4 positions.
Yeah, he's already got a little bit of front end damage from earlier in the race. So
yeah, he had John Theodore. That was what sent John Theodore sideways into the 88. So a lot of these contenders trading paint, kind of going sideways, slipping through these turns.
Oh, in the 82 there, Chris James gets loose. Almost slips down right in front of the 23 of Eli Hinton.
Yeah, these guys are pushing. They must be. Wow,
Whoa!
There goes the 01. That's going to be a yellow flag as it get right in front of Eli Hinton. The 01, Josh Patterson, and Hinton.
Hinton instantly drops.
Well, Hinton rage quits. He rage quit right there. And I don't know why. He's already got 12 incidents too, so. But yeah, that was a rage quit if I've ever seen one. That was Josh Patterson just getting loose, and these guys, I think these guys are really right now overdriving and just pushing it really, really hard, because I'm seeing these guys are better in this, and it's overcast, isn't it?
Yeah, the 23 destroys the front end of his car on that inside wall. The 01 flips it around quite well. I mean, just based on him being able to whip the car around like that, like I have trouble doing that in a cup car without losing it again right after. Like, he has a very tight space to work with. He does a 180 in the car. You know he knows how to drive the thing. They're just pushing the car way too hard, and now he's driving it with almost a camber to the left. So he's definitely going to need some repairs. You saw the 23 completely give up immediately after that crash. Chris Lucky now only sits 3 laps back, so the 77, slow and patient. You saw him win a race earlier in the season already. By being as patient as possible. He did the same thing last week, maybe using pit strategies that not everybody else was using, and he's going to employ the same thing here tonight to get back into this race and hopefully compete for a win towards the end of it. So I'd keep your eye on Chris Lucky. I think he's got a good shot at being up there. What did he qualify? Let's see.
9th.
Yeah, he qualified in the 9th spot. He currently sits 21st, so he's going to take a wave around here. He's going to continue to be patient. As you see this, he's got 26 laps on his tires right now. The only person with more laps is the 8 of Taylor Butcher Benjamin, who sits in first. So he's been out there the whole time.
Yeah, there's no reason for him to come in until he gets back on the lead lap.
Oh, yeah. Stay out there, run at the back of the field, stay out of trouble.
He's not going to lose too much.
The only time he's going to have to really worry is when the lead pack of cars catches back up to the rear bumper.
Yeah.
Just be in the rear, stay patient, continue to get your laps back, wait till you're on the lead lap, and then go out there and compete. Good driving by the 77.
The way this race goes, yeah, the way this race goes, I think every 20 laps, you're going to get a caution at least every 20 laps.
I mean,
yeah, so he's going to be able to. He'll be able to stay in front of that lead pack, and a caution should be able to come out before he loses a lap again. That's what he's hoping.
And if not, hopefully he's the lucky dog. But we're talking Martinsville, right? So you guys saw the shape of the track earlier when I pulled up the event information, right? It's called the Paperclip 250 because it literally looks like a paperclip. It's a long, skinny track, but it's only, I say long, right? It's only a half mile. So the turns are very short. There's no banking. You got 12 degrees worth of banking in the corners, 0-degree banking on the straightaways. They're just driving on a straight, flat surface. So the guys have tire pressures lowered significantly to give them better turning capabilities. They got the gear ratio cranked all the way to the max, and you're just trying to put enough gas into it, but stay out of the guy in front of you, and then the track sneaks up on you like it just did to, what's that now?
Josh Patterson.
Yeah, Patterson would go one.
Well, it's happened to a
Looks
lot
like
of guys,
he's also
too.
stepped out of the car now.
Yep.
So you're worried about all the guys, you know, in front of you and behind you and trying to stay in the gas and out of the gas and this and that, but no.
Well, we've been talking about, we mentioned the incident limit there. It's 17, and some of these guys have to be thankful for that because Chad Presnell, Taylor Butcher Benjamin, and Mike Springer already at 8. Eli Hinton had 12 when he left the car, so he would have had a hard, long way to go.
I'll tell you what, for anybody who does not race in iRacing, any of the viewers out there that are just watching this and you don't really know how the incident system works, if you contact, so very, very, very light contact, like a bump draft, has a possibility to give you 0 incident points, right? And I say that it gives you 0 because it'll actually pop up on your screen and say, hey, you just hit somebody and we know you just hit someone, but we're not going to give you an incident point for it. If you do that exact same tap within 5 laps, I think it's a time period, but if you do that exact same tap within a certain amount of time, it'll actually give you a 1x for that instead of a 0x. Now, if you tap somebody enough to kind of make them loose, you're going to get a 2x for it. If you hit someone hard enough where it causes an accident, or they slam the wall, or you slam into them with significant speed, you and them are both going to get a 4x. So there's got to be a lot of give and take here tonight. These guys have to try to stay out of the guy in front of them. Oh man, now where's it at?
Yeah, that was Thomas Harmon again. Harmon had to check up really hard because John Mullins, Mike Springer was on the inside. John Mullins decided he wanted to go down lower. He slowed down a lot, and that catches Harmon and McAnally.
See the 64 there slowing up significantly, but McAnally was right on Harmon's bumper. I don't know if I would put that all on Harmon or not. I'm gonna go back and watch it one more time.
That was John Mullins slowing down
yeah, I'd
way
say,
too
yeah,
much.
well, Mullins was, he got nervous because the 12 of Mike Springer got inside of him and he didn't know his braking point in that outside line. That, I would say that's just inexperience on the track.
He wanted to go down, yeah.
That's just inexperience on the track and not knowing how to drive that outside line. So, but Thomas Harmon was right on his bumper, and then Logan McAnally was right on Harmon's bumper. I mean, what are you going to do there? You don't know what's happening until it's too late.
Yeah, I think this track is going to be a testing bed. I really, like we were talking about before the race, and we do have the opinion. We are part of the administration of this league, so I don't really like the instant limit per se. I think it should be more of a race control should have say over that, because there's some guys in here that we're not even close to halfway in this race yet.
And they have a very good chance of already being disqualified.
We have 7 guys have 8x already out of 17. So that means they're, you know, if they have the same, you know, in the next 40 laps, they do the same thing they did in this first 40 laps, they're going to be done pretty early, not even halfway through this race. So that might be something that needs to be looked at.
It's going to be tough, especially on these short tracks. I know that they raise the incident limit on the road tracks, and that's just for things like going off track, right? So I was telling the viewers earlier about what you get an incident point for. If your tire touches the grass, you get a 1x for it, just for going off track. Being not on the racing surface gives you the 1x, and sometimes in certain situations when things get heated at, you know, a Watkins Glen or whatever, you're going to rub that grass just a little. So,
well, even oval races, you might have to go into the grass to avoid a wreck. So you're avoiding 4x, but you're getting 1. And depending on where your incidents are at that point, that could disqualify you sometimes.
Oh, yeah, and then if you lose control of the vehicle, you get another 2. I mean, I don't know. It's tough. One thing I'd like to
Yeah, I
mention,
mean,
Seth Noel doing an amazing job out there no matter what age on the tires. Right now, only 3 of them stayed out, one of which, Mike Springer in that 12 car. So he's the one who dives to the inside, and then all of the mess happens just behind him, and now Springer sits in third. So great job by Mike Springer, able to move himself up into prime position here, but he's got a lot of very fast drivers just behind him, Martin.
yeah, and I think that's for some of these guys. Well, we're going to green right now, so I'll save that for a little bit later. And we got some guys rear-ending each other there on the start.
Yeah, again, it's stacked up. John Theodore in that 27 was the first one to really make contact.
Ooh.
Catches the back of the 28 of Spencer Tart's bumper.
I think the 12 blinking a little bit scared Houston.
Now we're 3 wide on the backstretch.
Yeah, that's why we got that. Went 3 wide because Mike Springer is kind of blinking a little bit, and I think that's scared a few drivers. That caused a little bit of a stack up and made that go 3 wide.
See, I didn't even see the 12 blink, but I can tell you in that corner in turn 3 and 4, Anthony Burrows just avoids all of it. He takes that outside, and that's what I was talking about earlier, where the who was it that Harmon got into the back of?
John Mullins.
Yeah, the 64. I just don't think it's a comfortability thing, right? These cars have so much acceleration. You have to turn a lot of laps at Martinsville to get used to how to run that outside line, because anybody can go out and run the optimal line around a racetrack like this and post decent times, but when you're forced into that 3 wide or 2 wide situation in the corner and you're that outside guy who has somebody breathing down your neck on the inside, you have to know how to handle that. I don't know, the 64 definitely didn't do it as well as I had hoped earlier. Once again, well, Seth Noel.
Yeah.
19 laps on the tires, and he is running away with this lead. 1.36 second gap over second place. That's the 28 of Spencer Tart, who after finally getting around the 82 of Chris James, he's only got 8 laps on the tires. So now that Tart has some clean air, we'll see if he's able to close it.
But we were talking about the incident limit, and yeah, I think one of the draws for me to a league racing is that you can get rid of that incident limit, because that's something that, you know, in official races, you know, yellow flags or black flags and incidents, those are such important things that can't be judged by a human in an official race. Whereas when you have a race control, I think you kind of can eliminate some of those things. You don't need to have an automatic disqualification. And I think this track today is going to show us that maybe that incident limit isn't the best idea.
I don't know. I tend to have a temper when it comes to the whole race control side of things, so I really try to avoid it myself. But I don't know. You're always going to have somebody who's not happy when you leave it up to a person to decide, right? So you can leave it up to race control to a point, but you also set a limit with incidents. I just don't know what that limit, you know, where is proper. And we have seen, and we did see in the Pro Series during the winter, that when you do set a hard incident, you might make a couple guys angry. You might piss a couple of drivers off, but
yeah, it did work.
In general, it made the driving cleaner. So I think when those guys approach that limit, it sucks for the guy who really was almost completely not his fault at all. He got rear-ended 4 times, giving him 16x, and then he made one mistake and he gets disqualified for it. But yeah, I think that the guys
I'm looking at right now is Chad Presnell, Terry Butcher Benjamin, and Logan McAnally all have 12x. And now I've seen Chad Presnell sliding in pretty hard. Logan McAnally, it just seems like he has been getting, you know, just been in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, he really has. He showed us what he had last week at Auto Club, and he was very good last week. And he started out tonight very good as well. So we'll see if he's able to just stay out of trouble here, running around that. Whoa, and that's right in front of the 88.
Had to brake really hard, and that was because, yeah, the guys in front of him just broke a lot harder than he thought.
So McAnally needs to stay careful here, man. I'm rooting for the guy, but he's just always in the wrong spot at the wrong time. That clean air I talked about with Spencer Tart earlier, he's back into the 4th position now. So Hunter Johnson in the 48, able to pass not only Wade Hustad, but Spencer Tart as well. And he's now up into 2nd. But the gap between him and Seth Noel still 1.2 seconds. So Noel, even though being on 11 lap older tires than all these other guys, still able to maintain that 1st spot. And continue to hold the gap that he's had for quite a few laps now. We're going to get to the point where in this race, right, 11 laps is not going to mean a whole lot if we continue to go much later. So it's not really going to be hurting Seth Noel, as these guys will start to plateau in about 15-20 laps or so. But Hunter Johnson's closed it a little bit, down to 1.083. Continuing to gain on Seth Noel slowly but surely. Then it's just going to come down to, I don't know, I'd say a fuel thing at that point. You guys can turn a lot of laps on old tires.
Well, now there's Alexander Russell turned in the middle of the track. It looks like he must have got into the wall because he got 2x out of that. He's up to 10.
Go back and see if we happen to Russell.
Yeah. He's right around Logan McGann. Yeah, he just gets...
Oh, yeah, right out of the corner. He just got back into the gas a little too soon. Spins himself right out. Everybody able to avoid it. And now we got Seth Noel coming down pit road. So everybody's going to follow suit. See, Seth put himself in a perfect position. He stayed out there on those 11-lap-old tires. He gets to maintain first spot. And now he gets to go into the pits, and everybody's going to follow.
I'm trying to figure out what Russell's doing if he's... Okay, he's stopped on the track on the front stretch. Maybe he has to let people go by?
Wow, the pits being in the side of, like, the corner right here. The 48 of Hunter Johnson has a horrible pit stop, unable to get into the box like he wants. He has to back up and then pull back forward. Seth Noel with an amazing pit stop right on the edge of that corner. Those guys' pit boxes are just in a horrible, horrible location. And wow, poor Hunter Johnson, who gained himself quite a few positions during that last green flag run, all the way back into 11th, Martin. That's tough, man. Real tough. We got somebody in the YouTube chat, Martin, asking if anyone has a 0x right now. Jake Helt. I assume Jake, I think, is Joe Helt's
looks like
brother.
Joseph Helt. Yeah, Joseph Helt has a 0x. Joseph Helt and Chris Lucky.
Well, there's your answer
Jim
for
Westerfield
you, Jake.
has that.
Lucky.
Westerfield has that one, and I think he got that one when he had to hit the brakes hard. He got into. I think he just probably got that from going into the grass in the turn there.
Well, Lucky misses a few laps at the beginning of the race, and he's been able to keep the car clean since. And Jake, shame on you. You know by now that Joe's got a 0. Unless, of course, you're watching the broadcast because you don't live near, and it gives you a way to watch him race, which is awesome. If that's the case, I'm glad to have you as a viewer. Now, that's the cool thing, is that, you know, I assume everybody's got a subscription to iRacing, right? Everyone can jump in and watch this race live if they wanted to, but YouTube really gives us the opportunity to bring it to people who can't watch every week. I think I see that out there. Ryan Hesgard's girlfriend or wife or mother or somebody, Deborah Hesgard. I see her on there all the time. Jake Helt tunes in every week. We got some guys who were in the league. Ernesto Gonzalez, he's awesome. He does all of our stat tracking and stuff for us, and he raced with us for a little bit last year, but not even racing in the league right now, and he tunes in every week on YouTube. So shout out to all you guys who just show up to YouTube to watch the broadcast. Hopefully we put out a somewhat decent product and yourselves. Seth Noel's going to take the green flag here one more time. Able to go anytime between now and green, and he is off. Hustad followed tightly by the 62 of Burrows. Looks like Spencer Tart's going to be able to get to the inside. The 28 will take that position. And now Anthony Burrows is going to take it away from Hustad. John Theodore tries to fit the nose in there, unable to do so as of yet. And then you have the 55, who again is in a dangerous situation incident point wise. Needs to keep the car clean, as well as the 88. But they're racing hard as well. Hopefully 48 of Hunter Johnson doesn't get into him on the way by, because we know he's got a fast car tonight. Oh, look at there. Now, oh no. Who was that?
Anthony Burrows. Oh, Hustad gets in the back of Burrows. That kind of stacks everything up. Burrows hits the green cone, the commitment cone.
Gotta watch that one more.
Pit road there.
Hustad powering off the corner. Oh my gosh. Burrows able to gather that back up. That's what I'm telling you right now. Burrows is an incredible driver for what he does. Seth Noel once again running away with it. 1.1 second lead over the 28 at Spencer Tart. Wade Bustad sits in third in the 32. And then Chad Presnaugh, his old running partner in that 55 car, sits in fourth. Got John Theodore in fifth, and Hunter Johnson after that abysmal pit stop, missing the box, all the way back up to sixth now. So Johnson looked to be making a charge towards the front yet again. That is Eric Wolf out on the track, so the 24 is actually going to get out and turn some laps now.
Yeah, I guess his in-laws are over, and so he had to
go make some family time.
At that point. But he wants to be able to make the chase or make the playoffs this year, so
they definitely need that race contribution.
Come to enough races to do that.
Got a couple other guys hyped up in the YouTube chat. All those other guys that I didn't give a shout out to, but Trent Helt as well. So Jake Helt, Trent Helt, and then Bill McAnally commented on, I don't know, his family member. Don't know what relationship he has, but Logan coming out and getting that first win in the DRL last week. Currently runs in the 7th spot here tonight. Pull up his stats here. He did start in 3rd. He runs in 7th. Early race issues kind of caused that, and he has, what did you say, 12 incident points now, so needs to keep the car clean. Wants to get out there and run fairly aggressive as well. Hunter Johnson, I'm unable to make up much time on the 27 there of John Theodore. He charged through the field on that last green flag run, but it didn't come until about 20 to 25 laps on the tires, so we'll see as they continue to wear these in if he's able to do the same on this run. Seth Noel now 1.5 seconds ahead of the 28 of Spencer Tart, putting a gap on him. Good Hustad about quarters of a second back of the 28. And Chad Presnaugh on the 55 runs 4th. John Theodore runs in the 5th position in that 27 car. Hunter Johnson runs in 6th. 7th is Logan McAnally. 8th, Eric Hutton in that 78 machine. The 62 of Anthony Burrows back there in 9th. Then you got Chris James with a bit of a gap between him and Burrows, about 2 seconds back. Sits in the 10th spot. Mike Springer, who was a benefactor earlier, just after that Thomas Harmon wreck, he's back to 11th now. So he was running 3rd prior to that last restart. Now he's in 11th. Joseph Helt runs in the 12th position. 13th, Dustin Musel in the 22. Thomas Harmon. That 68 Avril Lavigne machine, he sits in 14th. John Mullins in the 64 has 15th. Jim Westerfield in 16th. Taylor Butcher Benjamin, 17th. Alexander Russell in the 44 car sits in 18th. And then Chris Lucky, who again, he missed the first 5 laps of the race. He came back, he was 5 laps down. He is now only 1 lap behind the leaders. But he does have, what is the gap here? Yeah, he sits only about 14 seconds. Yeah, he's 14 seconds back of Seth Noel, so Noel's only about 4 to 5 seconds behind him. It will not be long until these leaders are catching him here, that 77. Speaking of Mr. Noel, we are going to go down to the track and crank up the volume and let you guys listen to the sights and sounds of iRacing for just a couple minutes. We will be right back. We are back. The caution flag does fly. Martin, were you able to see exactly where that was, or?
Sorry. That was John Mullins getting loose coming out of turn 2.
64 car of Mr. Mullins.
Couple laps ago. Yep.
Back hopefully here and watch the 64. Wow. Had a little bit of a blink issue there. That all went down. But once again, just right out of that corner, exactly like we saw on the last caution flag, just snaps the car loose, hits that inside wall, rips the front bumper off. Nobody else getting into him, so Mullins, not wanting to get into any other cars on the track, just backs it up slowly and brings out the caution flag. So Seth Noel and that number 9 machine still running out there in first. The 77 of Chris Lucky is finally back on the lead lap. So that's what the 77's been looking for all night. Gets that wave around and finds himself at the tail end of the lead lap. Still has 0x, correct?
Yes,
perfectly clean
0X.
car, the
Him
77, looking good. Obviously, Eric Wolf many laps down, 74 at this time. He missed the first 35 minutes of the race or so, but here back to green flag racing. Seth Noel off quickly. The 48 of Hunter Johnson sits in second. There on the inside, Wade Hustad in the 32 on the outside, and Chad Presnell in the 55 runs in fourth. So Noel's kind of been able to run away with this thing thus far. As long as he's out front, he's got that clean air in front of him. The 9 looks fairly untouchable so far. There are a lot of quick drivers behind him, and Hunter Johnson is the one driver who was catching him 2 runs ago. So we'll see if Johnson's able to put the pressure on and stick to the back of that 9 car. Doing a fairly good job so far. Seth Noel's not taking off like he was every other time. Got Wade Hustad in the 32, Chad Presnell in the 55, and Anthony Burrows in the 62. That rounds out your top 5. Spencer Tart doing very good early in the race. In that 28 machine, he runs in 6th. John Theodore in the 27 runs 7th. And Eric Hutton in the 78, he runs up in 8th. So Joseph Helt, who's been towards the rear end of this field for a majority of it, he now runs in the 9th position. So he heads to the inside of the 78. Just behind him, you got Thomas Harmon in the 68 car. And Mike Springer in the 12 sits 11th. Chris James in that 82 machine, he sits in the 12th position. And Logan McAnally sits in 13th.
Wow, Chad Presnell just sliding through those turns.
Yeah, the 62 of Burrows is going to head to the inside and make the easy pass. Presnell, again, a little bit of front end damage to that car, but I don't really think it's slowing him down too much here. It's just a matter of getting through these corners cleanly. Those that are asking in the broadcast, yes, I did go get a hot dog. It was a delicious hot dog. Got Derek Long saying everybody should try to get a 17X, just hit each other on purpose. See what the admins do.
That would definitely
I think that'd wake everybody up, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, we're gonna protest. Everybody, give each other a 17X as soon as possible. I mean, Seth Noel's not able to pull away from Hunter Johnson like he was in those earlier runs, some of those other guys, so Johnson keeping him close. I think he had almost a 2.5 to 3 second lead when that last caution came out, so. But, again, the gap is growing slowly but surely. He was about a 10th faster than Hunter Johnson last time around. Definitely not discounting the fact that the 9 has been the fastest car on the track so far this evening. Eric Wolf is back in the pits, so Wolf is, I don't know, looks to be done, just getting those race participation points at this point in the race. We now have 17 drivers on the lead lap. Of course, that 77 of Chris Lucky we talked about earlier, who missed the first 5 laps due to computer issues. And that 77, he is the last car on the lead lap, 13 seconds back of the leader. Taylor Butcher Benjamin in the 8 machine, he is about 10 seconds back of the leader. So Chris Lucky will be caught fairly shortly, but he will be the lucky dog for a lot of time to come as the... I guess the next guy back is only Alexander Russell in that 44, right as I say something, gets loose, hits the outside wall. Able to hold on to it, but 44 having some problems out there, holding on to the car. Oh, it's the exit of turn 4, Martin. It seems to be a lot of issues for you guys tonight.
Definitely, I mean, it's the exits, because if you get on the gas just too soon, you're going to whip out that back end, and that's all you can do to save it and not take out the rest of the field. And we are just about halfway now through this race, and some of these guys have a long way to go, because they're going to have to drive very careful with where their incident points are. I'm talking about John Mullins has 14, Presnell, Butcher Benjamin, John Theodore, Logan McAnally all have 12, and then Alexander Russell, the 44, has 10. So those guys have their work cut out for them in the second half of the race. But it looks like things have gotten a little bit cleaned up, spaced out a little bit.
Everybody pretty much single file. Nobody really vying for position at this point. Just trying to get some laps under their belts. We're 128 in at a 250, just over halfway. And we knew this race would have some cautions, more than what we've seen throughout the season so far. Everybody's still getting used to the new package. You're on a track like Martinsville. Doesn't matter how many times you've raced it. Even slight things like weather changes can really, really change the way you drive this track. So. Whoa, the 62 of Burroughs almost screams the back end of the 32 of Hustad. Able to stay out of him with just enough brake, but that almost caused Chad Presnell in the 55 to get into Burroughs. So those guys stacking up on each other. Again, Noel still kind of running away with it. 1.1 second, almost 1.2 second lead over Hunter Johnson in that 48 machine, but the next 4 drivers keeping it close. And now we got some DMX lyrics going up in the YouTube channel. I love the internet. It's the best. Anybody who's about 30-something has probably heard that song at least 50 times, right? I don't know, Hustad almost looks like he's holding up the 62 of Burrows. Burrows gets right to his back bumper and doesn't really look like he has an opportunity to pass as he's running a higher line than the 32. He gets real close to him in every corner as now he's finally going to go to that inside line. Hustad's going to give him the spot and let Burrows get out there and try to make a run at the 48 of Johnson. So classy driving by Wade Hustad. Doesn't want to make the mistake, try to hold Burrows off for too long and end up getting into an accident because of it. The gap for, between the leader and second is still about a second. So even though Noel is racing very well, these guys are keeping him within vision. And we'll see if Hunter Johnson is as nice as Hustad was, if Burrows is able to get up to the rear of him. Oh, Martin, I wish you can you see the YouTube chat? I don't know who this I don't know who the Steven fellow is in here, but it's had a few funny comments so far this evening. We appreciate it, Steven. Everybody's over there singing that X Gon' Give It To You DMX song or whatever, and he
Thomas
says
Harmon goes in really hard trying to pass the 78, slides all the way through the 78 and the 88, both able to avoid the 68, as he now loses 2 positions with that move.
Didn't even see it. I have to go back and see if I can.
He just drove it in hard. He really wanted to get past the 78.
Here he is, just behind the 78. Oh yeah, you now see the 68 drives it in extremely hard. Way hard on the brakes. 78 able to avoid him. Oh wow, and he turns up just in time to avoid Logan McAnally. So yeah, that was impressive set of driving by all 3 of those guys there. 78 with the mindset to stay high when Harmon started losing it, and then Logan McAnally somehow able to avoid him on the low side, and then Harmon letting off the gas and not getting impatient and turning himself out. That was awesome set of driving by all of those guys. Seth Noel just blinked out for a second, but he is back. Burrows now to the inside of the 48 of Hunter Johnson, trying to make the pass. Johnson not making it as easy as Hustad did in that 32 car when Burrows wanted around him. Hunter Johnson definitely going to race for that position. Able to keep it for now as Burrows can't complete the pass. And that gives the 32 time to catch up, so I don't know.
When the 88 and the 78 get into each other, 78 is able to correct it. 88's going to come back down, and Mike Springer almost gets into those 2.
You see if McAnally received any more incident points for that? Because
yeah, that was a pretty hard hit. No, he's still at 12. Well, yeah, he's still at 12. I think he was already at 12. So
yeah.
But yeah, if 78 hadn't been able to corral that, he would have gotten a.
Yeah, the more confrontations you get in like that, even if you barely rub somebody and then they cause an accident afterwards, it can really hurt you. Guy's still running 9th, 10th, and 11th. Hutton, McAnally, and Mike Springer, that 12 machine. Beautiful Funyuns car. And that Chick-fil-A car. All 3 of those cars are looking good. I like the Nationwide machine on the 88 there. And no, not because of Earnhardt, but because of Peyton Manning. I love those Nationwide is on your side. Those are the best. So Seth Noel finally being reeled in by the 48 of Johnson. Only about a 0.6 of a second in front of the 48 now, where he was over a second just recently. Jacob Sell wants to know how many DQs in DRL history. Well, if you consider the Cup Series and all others involved, it's less than a handful, but we did have some more since the Winter Series when we implemented these changes. Again, the incident points forced these guys to kind of drive a little neater, so. And then Derek is asking if you're at 2x and the guy in front of you has 15, why wouldn't you just hit him twice and then chuckle your way to victory? Because we will catch on to it as admins. Every race is viewed. It is a concern of ours, but again, that stuff will be reviewed and it will be handled as necessary.
Yeah, I would argue that's one good reason. That's one reason I don't like the incident limit, because that is a possibility that a guy could nudge you, give you, you know. And even if it's not intentional, that's the same sort of thing where you're on the edge and now a guy just, you know, he gets into you, and you know, sometimes trading paint is part of racing, and especially here at Martinsville, people are gonna get into each other.
Well, Hunter Johnson has that gap down to practically nothing as he's all over the rear end of Seth Noel. Alan Swanson's asking in the channel about the 64, the 24. John Mullins in the 64 car is still running. The 24 of Eric Wolf has real life stuff going on right now, so he has the car parked, but he is by no means out of the race. The 23 elected to leave the race early. And the 01, after getting into an accident with the 23, also elected to leave the race early. So nobody has been cut yet tonight because of disqualification. And Hunter Johnson really applying the pressure to the 9 car. They are coming up on more lap traffic. And this is where Seth Noel is really going to show what he's got, as both of these guys 50 laps on the tires, giving the car everything they've got. And Hunter Johnson has been very, very good all night. I don't know, Martin. Is this the time where you just give him a little tap in that left rear, kind of push him up the track, move him out of the way?
I think it's still pretty early for that.
Well, we've seen what the clean air was able to do for the 9 all night. We've seen how fast Hunter Johnson is when he has clean air, so how bad does he want the position at 156 out of 250? Looks like he's trying to take that outside line and just make it a clean pass, but every time coming out of these corners, he drops a little bit lower than the 9 and gets right up to the rear end. As a 77 of Chris Lucky now is going to take a pit. So the leaders come around him. Chris Lucky says, all right, that's my cue. I'm going to go in and grab my pit stop.
Whoa.
Wow.
Wow, the 48 gets under. Well, the 9, yeah, the 9 got loose.
Wow. All right,
and the 48
let's
just
watch
gets
that
under
again.
Him, just flips him over. There goes the 9 on his hood down the whole front stretch.
Oh, the 9 gets really, really loose. Gets his car turned sideways. Who knows what was going on the 48 screen at that time, right? Because things like start to blink and you don't really know where you're at, because car models will glitch through each other. So the 48 kind of lets off when he touches him, but then he gets back into it because he thought he was around him. And then the 9 goes sideways and up on the hood. That's crazy.
I mean, he barely touched. I don't even know if he touched him there in the corner, but that's not what sent him loose.
Oh, he didn't touch him. No, the 9 got loose coming out of the corner for sure. Unless it was netcode. Yeah, he's up on his very outside, stays nice and clean. The 9,
gets loose.
Yeah, gives it too much brake. Or not gives it too much, gives it too much gas and gets himself sideways. So Seth Noel, after an incredible race all night, fortunate enough to land back on the wheels and keep the car upright, but he's definitely going to need a heavy amount of repairs after that one. See if we can watch that real quick from the cockpit view of the 9 machine here. Chris Lucky kind of getting the bad end of that stick where he had just come down pit road. So he will now not be the lucky dog. And here it's going to come right out of this corner. He just puts too much into it, and that's all she wrote for that 9 machine. Somehow able to land upright and keep the wheels under the car. Downshifts and then gets back into the gas. So I don't know, the 9's still out there. He's definitely going to need quite a few repairs, but the 48 of Hunter Johnson doesn't even look like he took too much damage. All of that. So again, you know, however it looked on screen to all the viewers at home, that's doesn't necessarily mean that's how it looked in those guys' cars at the time. Cars do clip through each other. Nobody really knows what's going on at any given time. 48, I mean, it can see what the 48 does as far as a pit stop goes. How he gets into his box and stuff. We're still in replay mode here, Martin. Hopefully lights aren't out on the pace car or anything, right?
I believe they have, yeah, they're going to have one to go. I think they're going to double file this time across the line.
Well, the 48 gets into the box very, very clean. 62 does the same. 55 at Presnall. The 9 gets into the box just fine. So everybody with good pit stops. And we'll see. The 48 comes out in first, so obviously not taking any repairs. Hunter Johnson not feeling like he needs to spend any additional time on pit road. So even though that looked horrible on the part of the 48, I really don't think that was his fault. The 09 gets loose. The 48 did what he could to stay out of him, but at some point you got to get back in the gas. You can't just stop on the track while there's a car on your hood.
All right. Well, they're coming to the line. Hunter Johnson and Anthony Burrows, and Johnson takes off as soon as he can.
Chad Presnall almost leaving his lane there to the inside of the 62. Now he's stuck outside, and you can feel for him because you know why he wants to get down there. If you get stuck on the outside with all this grip, the guys on the inside are just going to beat you around the track, and that's how he's feeling now as Joe Helt's going to pull down to the inside of him.
Well, and you get stuck on that outside, and you're coming out of the turns. That's where you hit the gas a little too soon. Then you spin in, and you take out 2 or 3 guys as well.
Helt gives a little room. Presnall able to pull down and get behind the 32 of Hustad.
Oh, I wonder what happened to Spencer Tart.
I don't know. Spencer Tart 4 laps down, all the way back in the 17th spot now.
Yeah, I missed what. I don't think he got caught in anything, did he?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Looks like he disconnected it. He manually disconnected and connected, so I don't know.
Maybe having some connection issues.
Yeah, maybe just trying to nip those in the bud before it became an issue. And
I can't believe after how well Seth Noel ran all night, the leader or the second place guy finally catches him for the first time all evening. I mean, I think he's already got most laps led locked up, even if Johnson leads the rest of them for the race, doesn't he? I don't have any way of looking at it unless I go to unofficial results here. Go to the next 10. Yeah, Seth Noel, 139 out of these 169 laps have already been led. So there's no way for Hunter Johnson to even catch him. He's already got that for bonus points. He's got the bonus point for leading a lap. And the very first time he lets the second place car catch up to the rear of him and he gets flipped on his hood. So can't be too excited about it. He now sits 10 laps down, still on pit road, receiving repairs to that 9 machine.
Yeah, and that's not the 48's fault. I mean, 48 was just there.
Yeah, it really isn't. Just is not what after how well he raced all night, not what he envisioned. But 50 laps on the tires, these things starting to wear down. Well, I think we were at about 55 laps there when that occurred, but surprised more guys haven't gotten loose throughout the race. We've seen it, you know, a majority of it every time. It's just on the exit of turn 4. Everybody gets loose. Somebody in front of you makes a mistake, and if you're not making the mistake, you're going to catch up to the back of them real quick as, again, these gear ratios are turned all the way to the roof. Give these cars as much acceleration out of these really small corners as possible. Joe Helt in that 02 machine up into the 5th spot now, so I mean, he started in 19th. He has I think 100% pristine car. The only one left out there with no issues, other than maybe the 77 of Chris Lucky, who sits a lap down. But yeah, Joe Helt all the way from 19th up to 5th right now. Just been patient, slowly worked his way into a top 5 scenario. Guys, we are 176 out of 250 laps. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We will be right back with more live action from the Dynasty Racing League in just a moment.
In the outside contact made. 56 slides it at a 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even. Give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. The 48 of Hunter Johnson still leading the field. Anthony Burrows in the 62, right on his heels. Burrows has closed that gap and gotten very, very, very close to the back of the 48 of Hunter Johnson on multiple occasions. Typically in the middle of the corner, as Burrows seems to be taking a little bit of a higher line than the 48, as Burrows has ran all night. Wade Hustad in that 32 car sits about a second back of those guys, 3/4 of a second or so. And Joseph Helt, after getting around the 55 at Chad Presnall, has now moved himself into 4th. Eric Hutton in the 78 machine. He sits in the 6th spot. 7th right now is Mike Springer in that 12 car. John Theodore in the Corey Busch Ford, that number 27. He sits in 8th. Logan McCannley sits in the 9th position, and Thomas Harmon in the 68. He sits in 10th. So Seth Noel now completely disconnected from the server, sitting in the 18th position. Maybe not too happy with the way his race ended up, decides to leave. Spencer Tart in the 28 sits 4 laps down after, I don't know, manually disconnecting. Maybe some connection issues from him. Not sure what happened. And Chris Lucky in that 77 car just waiting for the next caution so he can collect that lucky dog and get himself back onto the lead lap for the 2nd time tonight after his early connection issues. Taylor Butcher Benjamin in the 8 car. He sits in 15th. And Alexander Russell there in that 44 sits in 14th. And Jim Westerfield in the 13th spot in the 4. Chris James in the 82 sits in 12th. Dustin Musial 11th. I don't know. I think the race has gone a fairly bit better than I expected tonight. I did expect a couple more cautions. Whether I know we've had a few of them tonight, but I kind of expected more than what we've had so far. Martin, what do you think?
Yeah, it's kind of what I expected. I thought fewer incidents that we've seen. It seems these guys are a little bit over aggressive, or just going in these turns a lot harder than I would have thought, and slipping a lot more than I would have thought they would have been, especially with the overcast weather.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the car a little bit easier to handle, and if I wish we could go back and just compare this side by side to last year's race, where these cars did have, you know, a little bit more. You had to race the car harder than you had to race the other drivers around you. They do have a little more sticking power, I think, this year. But at the same time, even with the overcast conditions, a lot of guys spinning out in two, and I think with how quote-unquote easy the car is to drive on the track right now, maybe that's what's causing a lot of the issues, is the guys are just pushing it to its limits, and every now and then stepping over the boundary a little bit. As you did see, I mean, Seth Noel, if you watched during that in-car view that we had of him, he did whip the wheel back to the right. He started to correct himself, but right as he did, he got touched in the back. So Hunter Johnson getting a little bit loose right there. That allows Anthony Burrows to close the gap. This is the same exact thing that happened earlier. What Hunter Johnson just did is what Seth Noel did when the 48 made the contact with him and drove right through him. So Johnson needs to be very, very careful, not get loose again with the 62 right on his heels like this. We're now 39 laps into this run. The last time we had a caution come out on a long green flag run like this was at about lap 55. The guys cannot make it to the end of this race on fuel, so they will need to pit one more time, but the question is, when do they see that pit window? Because 40 right now on the tires, and you got about 50 laps to go, so I imagine we start seeing some green flag pit stop cycles coming through very shortly. Martin, we've seen some guys gamble in the last few weeks, staying out on old tires. I think this might be the week to do that.
Tires, I'm surprised. Yeah, I guess fuel might be an issue, but yeah, tires you can do it. You can pull it off. I don't know if today, though, because just the way guys are driving, it just seems like they're driving so hard that a little bit of a disadvantage on the tires might, you know, cost you quite a few positions actually. But
I'm just saying, like in the last couple of weeks, we've seen guys stay out for an
Yeah,
extra
we have
10,
seen that,
15 laps. Chris Lucky did it actually a couple weeks ago when he got that victory. He stayed out.
Yeah, this would be the track. This would be the track where I would think it'd be the least risky to stay out on old tires.
Yeah, because that caution's bound to happen at some point. But also, on the other side of that,
just isn't as big.
well, you say that, right? But on the other side of that, if you have a guy who just came in about 10 to 12 laps ago on his green flag pit stop, and now a caution flies, and you pit, well, he's not going to pit. He's going to say, okay, I'll stay out on my 10-lap old tire. So the guys are going to be more comfortable staying out under caution conditions than they were in previous weeks as well. So definitely a really fine balancing act. Now, 45 laps on the tires, and 45 laps remain in this race. Unless these guys plan to go to the end, I would expect green flag pit stops to happen very, very shortly. I guess Tony's 10K Gaming on the YouTube chat, he does say, I'd like to point out that they can make it on fuel. So I guess fuel is not a factor at this point.
Fuel's not an issue.
I don't know, 100 laps around this track though on the same tires? How much do they, you know what I mean? Right now you're looking at only about, I don't know, they're less than a second worth of fall off right now top drivers are.
Yeah,
Hunter Johnson in that 48, his best time, 18.474, and he just ran a 19.287. So only 0.8 of a second off of his fastest lap. I don't think you have enough time to pit now and make it all up if the guy out front doesn't pit. But like, when's the caution flag gonna come? And then is he gonna want to stay out on 60 lap old tires when you got freshies behind him, you know? But as you said, a green flag pit stop will put you a lap down, so not only will you have to stay out, but then you'll have to get the wave around as well. So I don't know. The pit strategy is a little hectic at Martinsville. These guys now approaching lap traffic. Burrow's finally moving to the inside of the 48 as they approach the back of the 8 car there of Taylor Butcher Benjamin. Benjamin lets him around. And Burrow still remaining patient. 40 laps remain in this race. I don't know, Burrows has been good on each one of these long runs. He's made up a lot of time, but Johnson has been, other than Seth Noel, the class of the field tonight. At this point, it'd be hectic to be that 44 car right now. Again, he does the exact same thing that Taylor Butcher Benjamin did. He's moved down to the inside, slows the car down heavily, and lets those 2 leaders around. You do not want to be that guy who takes out the 2 guys competing for the win here.
Yeah, he was that guy at Phoenix, too.
Yeah, no choice of his own. He didn't do it on purpose, obviously, but Burrow's once again trying to make the move, and he can't really stomp the gas like he wants to. 48 with that better run on the outside, able to maintain the spot. Burrow sliding up the track just a bit, gets very, very close to the 48 of Hunter Johnson. That is tight racing between those 2 guys. See if Burrow's able to make it happen this time.
Yeah, they're racing for all the marbles, and we still have 35 laps to go.
They're all over one another. Very good racing between both of these gentlemen right now. Anthony giving him a lot of space, but Hunter Johnson trying to hold him down there to that apron.
He's doing a really good job on that outside, too, when he comes out of the turn, because that's where
not sliding up into the wall.
Too soon.
Yep.
He's hanging it. He's hanging right there.
Yeah, Burrow's unable to just clear him before the apex. Hunter Johnson keeps closing that gap right before the apex and not giving Burrows the room to slide up in front of him. Does he have the room this time? Almost.
Wow.
I hope Burrows has a live spotter in the car, man, because you can't trust that electronic spotter. There it is, finally. And Johnson maybe thinking about the crossover move, but Burrows gets a little bit loose coming out of the corner, but he does officially get the position now. And now they're going to trade positions.
Yeah, now Johnson's going to take that low side, and he looked like he almost got into the 62, and 62 had a big wiggle on the backstretch.
You know, I think that's Johnson's preferred line, though, is running the inside, where, you know, Burrows likes to run up in that second lane. You see him that whole way through the corner. No real threat of the 48 passing him, but he chooses to run in that second lane up anyway, so.
Well, he's sticking up in that high lane just enough, but he can make a move quick enough to block the low. There's just not enough room for Johnson to get in there in the amount of time that he needs. Because as soon as if he gets a little bit of a run, Burrows just has to ease the car just a little bit and.
These guys approaching the back of the 28 here is Spencer Tart, who sits 4 laps down. Somebody just said in the YouTube chat that, oh, as Tart blinks out there for a brief second, maybe scaring the bejesus out of the 62, but he said that Tart reported to him that his Oculus Rift actually blacked out in the middle of the race, so.
Mechanical issues.
Yeah, I mean, Tart was running very, very well for a majority of the evening.
Yeah, but getting past Tart, that gives Burrows a big gap now.
Oh yeah, now he's definitely got the speed on the 48. He's out there running in clean air, and again, he's able to run his optimal line when the air is clean because he's running higher than all these other drivers. You see how low the 48 enters the corner? Burrows entering an entire lane above him, and he's been doing it all night. I mean, Burrows has been very, very patient throughout the evening, so unless the 62 makes a major mental error and gets the car loose out of one of these corners like we've seen many other times this evening, should continue to run away with this. Move back now to Joseph Helton, that 02 machine, up into the 3rd position after passing the 32 of Wade Hustad. Now he's got a 2-car gap, so the 44 puts him behind him. He also puts the 8 of Taylor Butcher Benjamin behind him. So with Benjamin and Russell, they're kind of providing a buffer between him and the 32 of Hustad. Joseph Helt looks to possibly have 3rd place locked up if things continue the way they sit now. We have 26 laps remaining tonight. The 2 leaders kind of in a class of their own. 3 seconds back of them is that 02 machine you see on your screen now. Chad Presnall runs in the 5th spot in the 55. And he's about 3 seconds back of Hustad, 8 seconds back of the leader. I mean, Martin, these leaders are coming up on the 13th position right now. That 82 car of Chris James running right next to Chris Lucky in the 77. Burrows is coming up on those guys, and that's going to leave, if he gets around the 82, that leaves only 12 cars on the lead lap. See Jim Westerfield there on that 4 machine just ahead of them, so I don't know, I think we saw it, what, once last year. Ryan Hesgaard almost did it in those B cars last year, where it was only him and one other car on the lead lap on a track like this. He was able to just lap everybody but one other vehicle. We asked him after the race, you know, were you going for it? Did you want to get around him and lap everybody? And he said, you know, it would have been nice, but no, I just wanted to go out there and win the race. So you know that's all that 62 is thinking about right now, as he is to the back of both of these cars. And this is where it gets dangerous, because the 77 82 running right next to each other, and Hunter Johnson's knocking at the door of the 62, so he's going to have to find out a way around him without costing himself too much time. Hunter Johnson, the closest we've seen him in about 10 laps on Anthony Burrows right now. He's praying that that 82 moves over and lets him by. Those two get very close coming out of the corner. Burrows around the 77 with ease as he's moving up just to stay out of everybody's way. Chris Lucky now will go 2 laps down. He was hoping for that caution just to be the lucky dog to get back on the lead lap, and now he sits 2 laps down. So after those early issues with the 77, he's not going to be able to compete here at the end of this race. Right now, if things went and there was a caution at this moment in time, you'd see the 82 of Chris James getting that lucky dog. Back again. Joseph Helt sits in the 3rd spot. Oh, and somebody just to the inside of Helt. Who was that? That was the 82 car of Chris James. We were just talking about him. So Chris James brings out a caution on lap 234 out of 250. See what happens to James here. I can almost bet that he gets loose coming out of the corner, Martin. What do you think?
Yeah, looks like it.
Riding along with the 82. There it is. Turn 2 that time that's able to get him. Doesn't cause any damage to the car. Everyone stays out of him, but because of his inability to really back up, everybody's spaced so far apart, he can't really correct himself and turn the car back around and get out there and run. So it will bring out the yellow flag. Only 15 to go. Anthony Burrows there on pit road. We're going to go to the pit exit and watch these guys as they come off. Obviously, Hustad having the best stall here. If he's able to make up any spots. Burrows is going to come off first. Second, Hunter Johnson. 3rd place, Joe Helt. 32 of Wade Hustad with a fairly long pit stop. Logan McAnally's going to come out in front of him. And then Chad Presnall, the 78, the 27, the 12 of Mike Springer. 68 there of Thomas Harmon, and Dustin Musial in the 22. So it actually looks like Hustad, I think, lost position there. Lost Did he lose 2 positions? We've got Alexander Russell. Okay, he only lost 1 position there. So Logan McAnally able to come around the 32 on pit road. We got Anthony Burrows, Hunter Johnson in 2nd, Joseph Helt sits 3rd, Logan McAnally 4th, and Wade Hustad round out your top 5.
Yeah, Logan McAnally making a name for himself these past couple weeks. Along with him and Eric Hutton. Those are the two rookies that are really impressing me so far, along with Seth Newell this race. Just looking at other rookies new to the Cup Series, and yeah, it's those 3 guys. Those 3 guys have been watching all year. Logan McAnally, Eric Hutton, and then Seth Newell, showing that he can lead a race. He just got the raw end of the stick there, kind of got loose when he got into a battle with Hunter Johnson, and that cost him this race.
I mean, we've seen a lot of that, you know, new faces. Hunter Johnson obviously not new to the Dynasty Racing League, but him coming out here and doing what he's done tonight has been impressive. Logan McAnally last week, just out of nowhere, 88 wasn't even on my radar, and then he comes out and dominates at Auto Club. So awesome to watch some of these new guys to the league get out there and race the way they have.
Yeah, we're getting some different race winners this year. That's nice. And today we're going to see if...
Wow, what a great start by the 48 there of Hunter Johnson. Unable to pull the car down in front of the 02, though, of Joseph Helt. He now does get the position. I thought he was going to cough up a couple spots there, but able to pull down behind the 62 of Burrows. Joseph Helt running just behind them, and then you have McAnally on the outside and Wade Hustad on the inside in that 32 machine. So
11 to go.
Yeah, things are going to get tense here at the end, Martin. I expect another caution.
Burrows going to get his third win, or is Hunter Johnson going to be able to get his first this season? Or does Joseph Helt sneak in?
I don't know. Hunter Johnson been fairly good at the beginning of these runs. Burrows kind of taking a soft, smooth, easy
Logan
approach
McAnally.
in that second line.
I'm going to flip back just a little bit. Yeah, Logan McAnally gets loose going through that turn. Almost comes down to the 78, but he gets it corrected. He's going to fall back behind. He's going to fall all the way behind Thomas Harmon.
He's just behind the 55 of Chad Presnall.
He stayed in front of Harmon, yep. Yeah, Taylor Butcher Benjamin just came over asking why there wasn't a yellow. I don't know what there would have been yellow for.
I just saw a little bit of smoke there. Yeah, the
might have been
62
going on.
The 62 and the 48 just drove through a smoke cloud. I don't know who that is up in front of them, but something occurring on the track in one of those turns. I mean, a yellow flag at this point is almost detrimental to letting these guys race it out. Hunter Johnson still keeping himself right to the back of the 62. Joseph Helt looks along for the ride after running towards the back for most of the night. He sits in third. Looking to just grab that third place finish and call it good, get the podium, and move on to next week. But I don't know, Hunter Johnson, 6 laps to go. Got to catch the back of the 62 here. These guys are going to be giving the car everything it's got. I would not be surprised to see a yellow flag with maybe 1 or 2 to go. Anthony Burrows here, just methodical, the exact same line every single time around the track, and Hunter Johnson just unable to catch up to him. Taking that lower line, really pushing the car to try to get to the back of him, but Burrows making it difficult. Oh, and there's Hunter Johnson trying to make an aggressive move to the inside of the 62. 3 laps remain here at Martinsville. The Paperclip 250 with the Dynasty Racing League Cup Series. Hunter Johnson really wants this victory. Could be the first for him and maybe only for him this season. You never know what's going to happen throughout the rest of the season, and it is a win you're in the playoffs, so the 48 wants it. We did see a few weeks back, what was it, Atlanta? Burrows really wanted the victory and pushed John Theodore out of the way in the last corner of the race. So you take the white flag, see if Hunter Johnson's able to give him anything down this last straightaway. Johnson almost getting the car loose.
Yeah, wiggle. And I don't
Doesn't
think
look like he's going to have
it.
enough. Once again, see if he gets the car loose here. Gives it everything it's got, but Anthony Burrows is going to be your winner at Martinsville. Man, what a race. So I don't think, in all of that, we talked about incident points and stuff earlier. Nobody actually got disqualified tonight. So
yeah,
the incident points proving not to be much of an issue.
Yeah, let's go through that really quickly. Logan McAnally, he finishes with 16. He had 12. What I was talking about halfway, these guys are going to have a hard time with that second half of the race. He only added 4 late, and then Russell and Mullins had 14, Musel 13, and then Johnson, Fresnel, Butcher Benjamin, Mike Springer, John Theodore, those guys were running with 12 most of the race. So once they got around that 12 mark, everything's kind of cleaned up actually. So
yeah, and again, I think that's what the incident point limit does.
Yeah, I think that's what it meant.
These guys just say, hey, it's getting towards the end. I got a lot of points. I'm going to start racing a little cleaner, and it did work. Maybe it.
Yeah, you got to save.
You can't go out there and be
too.
crazy and aggressive and really, really try to push a victory. But when it came down to it, the guys that mattered there at the end, Hunter Johnson, Anthony Burrows. If Hunter Johnson had points to spare, he could have put the bumper to Burrows if he got to the back of him and he wanted the victory bad enough. So that's it. You just got to be cognitive of where you stand and make it work for you. So all of these guys able to do so. We're going to look at the unofficial results here. We got Anthony Burrows in the first position after leading 35 laps. Hunter Johnson in that 48 machine leading the middle part of that race. He finishes in second. Joseph Helt, again, 0 laps led on the O2 machine of Helt, but runs towards the back for majority of the night, comes up and captures the third place. I think he finished with no incident points tonight, which is just awesome by that O2 machine. Wade Hustad in the 32. He finishes 4th. Eric Hutton in 5th. 6th goes to Chad Presnell in the 55. 7th, Thomas Harmon. John Theodore captures the 8th position. Jim Westerfield, after leading 1 lap and getting that bonus point, he finishes 9th. Mike Springer in the 10th spot. You got Logan McAnally, finishes 11th. 12th goes to Alexander Russell. 13th, Taylor Butcher Benjamin in number 8. 14th goes to Chris James. 15th, Dustin Musel in the 22. Chris Lucky, after the early race unfortunate disconnect or whatever he had problems with, that 77 car, he finishes in 16th. 17th goes to Spencer Tart, 4 laps down. Seth Noel finishes in 18th after leading the most laps this evening, 139 for him. 19th goes to John Mullins in that 64. Eric Wolf finishes 20th. And you have Josh Patterson in the 01, 21st. 22nd goes to Eli Hinton in the 23. And the 23rd spot goes to Caden Honeycutt, who I don't believe actually turned a lap tonight. So comes out, does I don't even think he did a qualifying lap and left the server. So maybe Honeycutt just not feeling the race. Maybe something came up, but he actually did not race this evening. We are going to go down to the track and get a couple of interviews, starting firstly with our leader and winner, Anthony Burrows, in that beautiful 62 machine. Anthony Burrows, do you have a copy, sir?
Yeah, I got you.
Hey man, super patient all night. You were kind of running a different line than everybody else. How do you feel about Martinsville coming in, and did you get the results you expected?
I don't know. This has never been one of my best tracks, but I've always enjoyed racing here because the line moves around throughout the run. You can kind of just run wherever you're comfortable at. So, yeah, I enjoyed moving around and testing out different lanes. Yeah, I was in a different lane just about every lap, it felt like. So, yeah, I was glad I was able to make it work, and that. Yeah, thank you to Hunter for racing clean too. That was an awesome battle we had there.
Yeah,
towards the end.
Yeah, I think it was 20 before that last caution. Intense racing between the both of you guys, coming so close to one another. I don't know how he was able to hold you off for as long as he was in that outside line, but you seem to prefer to be one lane up for a majority of the time. So was that a little weird for you, having to move down to the lower line to get around him?
A little bit. I was running the curb like right around the bottom a few laps. So I kind of knew how to run down there, but Yeah, once you get to the inside of someone, though, it's so tough to pass down there. I think we made contact a couple times, but yeah, that's some of the best racing I've ever.
Well, you were able to make it happen, man. You stuck around all night as you usually do. You missed last week at Auto Club, but that's win number 3 this evening. Should see you back in the top 5 easily in point standings after this one. How are you feeling about next week?
I haven't really done a race with the new package yet on like the bigger tracks, so I think that'll be interesting. It'll make the field a lot closer, which I think it'll be fun for the viewers to watch and fun for the racers too. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch it, man, just to see what it's like. You know, I think it's a comparable track to what we saw in Atlanta earlier in the season, and that's before you guys had the new package. So we'll see what happens, but congratulations on your win this evening. Let's hear any shout-outs you got before I let you go tonight.
Yeah, definitely everyone racing clean tonight, especially especially Hunter Johnson, Wade Husted, Joseph Held, Spencer Tower. Thank you guys for putting on the broadcast as always. You guys do an excellent job each week, and thanks everyone for tuning in.
All right, man. Well, we will see you next week at Texas. Go out there and turn some laps and get ready for another exciting race.
All right, thank you guys.
See ya. That was Anthony Burrows in that number 62 machine. Now going to grab the 48 of Hunter Johnson, who comes in second. Hunter Johnson impressed me tonight. I don't know. That was he looks real good, man. I can't believe Burrows was able to get around him.
Yeah, he had a good race. A lot of good races for some of these guys that we haven't talked about too much this season yet.
Right. Hunter Johnson, do you have a copy, sir?
Yes, sir, I do.
He raced really, really well tonight, man. I was impressed. I think a lot of people were impressed with your racing out there. And then I don't even know what it was, 10, 12 laps you turned with Anthony Burrows side by side. How are you feeling out there with him trying to make the move for first?
I knew he was coming. He's a very fast driver. He's always fast. Sooner or later get there, and I felt like I seen him running the top. I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to take his line. I started taking it over. Then we got to the bottom. I was like, all right, just try to stick it on the top, slow the entry, try to help do whatever I can to drag race him. And he was just so good on the bottom. Got ahead of me, and we had that caution. I wanted the caution a little bit sooner to benefit, but it was good that it came out when it did, and got a good restart right next to him. Had him somewhat going into one, and just couldn't stay with him off of two. Got a lead, and I could tell each lap I'll drive it in a lot harder than he would, close in the gap, and then he would just pull back away and just stayed right there. He's such a great driver. I'm just glad that I was actually able to finish second with all these great drivers we have in this league.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about him being good on the bottom. He actually preferred that, like, you know, second lane versus running the bottom. He had to force himself down there to make the pass on you, and we just spoke with him. He said he was comfortable on the bottom line, but making the pass is very, very difficult, and you did a great job of just holding him down there and not giving him an inch of space, but also being cognitive of where he was and staying out of the way. So, great piece of racing by you. I didn't expect there, you know, after on that last restart, the odds of you actually being able to stick next to him in turn one were slim to none because you're both on fresh tires. Obviously, he's running that inside line. He has no doubt about having plenty of grip driving out of that corner, and you just weren't able to keep. But you're very correct in the fact that you were you were driving it in hard there at the end. You almost got into his back bumper a couple times, and I was rooting for you. But either way, you get the second place finish. You haven't locked yourself into the playoffs, but doing very well so far this year. You coming back next week for Texas, man? How you feeling about that track?
I'm feeling okay. I really haven't ran there much this season so far, but I'll go over there sooner or later and testing some, try to get some practice, and hopefully come out with another top 5, and then just wait for Richmond and Dega and hopefully get a win in one of those two tracks.
Yeah, those are a couple exciting tracks to drive in the Cup car. I gotta ask, obviously, Seth Noel, class of the field tonight, 139 laps led. What happened in that whole scenario, and what did you see from your car? Because we see one thing on the broadcast, and I know cars kind of clip through each other and things like that when you're actually in the cockpit and you're driving out there on the track. But Were you just not expecting it? And then when you kind of drove through him, was it just one of those scenarios where he was just in the middle of your car and there's nothing you could do?
I mean, to me, I feel like it was kind of like a short track deal. I know he bobbled off the corner. When he bobbled, I tried to go low. When I did, I think I may have net coded with him or something. He got him more loose. But when he came down, I know he definitely glitched through my car a little bit, kind of got on top of it and flipped him. Wasn't expecting that, and as soon as we started hitting, I started getting out the gas, hitting the brake, just trying to get away from each other, and it never come out to be that way.
Well, then we see that you didn't take any repairs on the subsequent pit stop, coming away in first after that caution flag. Did you need any repairs and just elect not to take them, or?
I didn't. The car didn't feel like it needed any. I think it was like I think they were saying it was 12 seconds of damage. I really didn't bother with it. It wasn't going to affect as much handling as it would, and the big thing was keeping the motor clean, and the motor luckily didn't get no damage during that wreck, so I was able to stay good.
Perfect, man. Well, congratulations on second spot. Let's hear any shout-outs before I let you go this evening.
Thank y'all in the drop booth here. Y'all do a great job week in and week out. Thanks JP for having such a great league. All the league members, all the cup guys. I know we all go at it every now and then, but when in doubt, we're all just racing. Thanks Slideways, Alex and PJ. Alex really didn't have the good race like he wanted to, but this is normally his off week. And then PJ's just come in and he's spotted to help with some calls. But other than that, I think that's it.
All right, man. Well, you have a wonderful evening. We'll see you next week at Texas.
Thanks. See you guys.
That was Hunter Johnson in the 48th, your second place finisher for tonight. Now we'll go grab Joseph Halt, who again stuck around all night, able to come away with third. Joe Halt, you got a copy, sir.
Gotcha.
Third place finish, man, after your start. I mean, what, 19th I think you started in tonight? You just patient all night long. I think you had 0 damage to the car at a track like Martinsville, man. How's it feel to come away with the third place finish after all that?
Man, it was an adventure. Had no speed early, took a little bit to figure out the track. I was able to make some hay towards the end.
You definitely made it happen, man. We've talked about you a lot recently, always running up towards the front. It was surprising, honestly, to see you as far back as you was for majority of the night. You know, I feel like you ran between 10th and 15th for most of the race, and then, you know, a couple caution flags come out, able to work your way into a top 5, and then you race your way around the 32 of Hustad and the 55 of Presnall to come away with the third place finish. Congratulations on all of that. How are you feeling about Texas next week?
I don't know. We'll have to see. I like Texas a lot with the old way of driving, and I don't know how it's going to go with the new package. So it'll be a little bit of practice this week to see what it takes to drive it.
Yeah, that's what I was telling Burrows earlier, man. I feel like Texas is a lot like Atlanta, similar type of track, and now they've just thrown a whole wrench in it. You know, it's not going to drive anything like Atlanta did just a few races ago.
Oh, for sure. And with that worn out surface, wish we had the horsepower back, but this is kind of what we have to do. So it'll be fun regardless, and we'll see what happens. They'll probably shuffle up the field a little bit.
Well, it's always fun in the DRL. I mean, we had clearly the best driver out here tonight just get running clean all night. As soon as somebody catches his rear end 160 laps into the race, he gets turned on his hood out of nowhere. So, but not, wasn't second place's fault. It was all him getting loose out of the corner. Crazy how fast things can turn over.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. It's had a lot of luck this year. Been able to avoid a lot of messes that some of the people have gotten in. Hopefully that continues moving forward.
Well, I want to talk about S2R. You've been racing with those guys, yeah?
Yeah, man. It's been a lot of fun. Really good group of guys, and helping each other out and finding a little bit of speed here and there. Been a great help to race with Spencer, Wade, and Thomas. Awesome,
man. Well, congratulations again on third place. Go out there and get some more practice this week, and we'll see you back next week at Texas. Let's hear any shout-outs you got for anybody tonight.
Thanks, you guys, in the league, Dynasty Racing League, putting on this race. It's a lot of fun. Definitely something that I look forward to every week. And shout out to the Boilers playing Tennessee on Thursday. Make it to the Elite Eight and hopefully the Final Four.
Oh man, that NCAA tournament I think is the only thing more nerve-wracking than NASCAR racing. To be honest, the Duke's win the other night was crazy.
Yeah, that was wild.
All right, man. We will see you back next week. Have a wonderful evening and get some practice this week. All right.
Hey, thanks, man. You too. Have a great week.
All right. You too. Bye bye.
Bye.
And that was Joe Helt, your third place finisher for tonight. So that's going to do it for this evening. Next race of this series, again, is the Texas 250 at Texas Motor Speedway. Right back here next Monday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. That'll be me and Martin with you. Hopefully, Martin, you'll be here, yeah?
Yep.
I always expect you to be here. You know, it's kind of just one of those givens at this point. Next race in the Dynasty Racing League period will be tomorrow night. So we'll be right back here live on DRL TV. Martinsville Speedway, yet again, going to turn 200 laps. Those Grand National cars. So, different beast, Martin. I know you said you raced both of them. Grand National cars maybe a little bit harder to handle here than the Cup cars?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought they felt a little bit harder to get in on the brakes. Start kind of, you put down the same amount of brakes and you kind of slide, versus these Cup cars where you can kind of put the brakes. And yeah, we didn't see it too much tonight. The guys were still sliding tonight. I think they were pushing a lot harder than I was, but in my experience, you know, I would have rather been out there in the Cup cars, but
Either way, it should be an exciting race.
Yeah.
Again, here tomorrow night,
We'll see
9:30
what
p.m.
happens.
Eastern. We are going to roll through some credits here. James Pandoff, owner of the league, obviously, big shout out to him making this thing all happen. Martin, self, for all these graphics that you bring us every week. Jordan Gonzalez for his help with the graphics as well, and making the stream and DRL TV a possibility. You got David Wellborn Jr., Getty Buckner, Derek Pemberton, Eric Weatherholtz, David Lindahl, all the guys who come out, show up every week, and help broadcast these things. You know, 3 races a week for 36 weeks straight every year is a lot of time for these guys to put in. So, Robbie Armstrong, Dakota Wilkins, Ryan Hesgard, Jeremy Hebel, Richard Springer, and Eric Weatherholtz. Shout out to all of those guys for turning out every week to do race control and help out with that. Not an easy job. You're always bound to make somebody angry. And obviously all the administrators, you know who you are. I don't think I need to lay it out at this point. Thank you to all the viewers at home tuning in and watching us. Hopefully tonight's race was exciting. I had a blast. I think there were less cautions than there could have been. There definitely could have been more cautions, and there was some very exciting racing, especially between the 62 and the 48 towards the end of that race. So, thanks again, all the drivers who come out and race every week. Those guys make the DRL what it is, and all the viewers at home make DRL TV what it is. So, thank you to all of you guys. We will be back with you next Monday night, me and Martin, right back here for some awesome action at Texas. Everybody have a wonderful evening. Martin, anything else for the viewers before we let them go?
I'll see you tomorrow night.
See you then, guys. Have a good one.